Hey guys, it's Jason here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the video. Today is a little bit different than what we usually do. So this is the RC ERA C138 helicopter. Now it's a Bell 206. That's referring to what the actual model of the helicopter would be in real life. You can fly in a Bell 206. So that is what this is right here. C138 is just a model number from RC ERA. Now, for those wondering, why am I reviewing a helicopter? That is because if you go back somewhere, let's say around 10 years, you will find a lot of helicopter content as well as some drone content. And that is because, guys, I really enjoy flying. And what I enjoy most, well, there's two things. One is obviously the overall just flying of the helicopter, but two is that I can do this in my backyard. So when it comes to running my RCs, my ground RCs, you know what? I drive out, I go someplace, I get there, maybe there's cars, maybe there's people, whatever, and I got to move to a different place, just hoping that I can find a spot that I can run long enough to run a couple of batteries through. Where with something like this, I can go to my backyard, preferably morning and night. The reason I say that is that during the day, this is a smaller scale, guys. Obviously, you can see right here, it's not very big. This will move around a little bit if there's any kind of wind. Now, for some of the video, you will notice, and I do kind of often pan over to the trees just so that you can see the trees kind of moving to understand that. But for the most part, with the C138, it did handle, guys, wind very, very well. Now, I'm not talking like a windstorm. I'm just talking like a breeze coming through. But either way, going back to what I was talking about, guys, I was super into helicopters. I loved flying them. And the funny thing was back then, it was rough. You had to really practice flying. I remember with one of my first helicopters, you would kind of give yourself, let's say, like a 2-meter span, kind of squared off like span. And what you would do is you would learn to basically get the helicopter off the ground, keep it from doing this and crashing. And then you practiced keeping it in that space. So maybe it was, let's say, like 2 meters square. You'd practice keeping it in there because there was no stabilization, no gyro control or anything like that. After you had kind of got that down, you would kind of rotate the helicopter, let's say 90 degrees, and then try to do the same. Because now, when it's like this, so you take off, boom, you're flying like this. When you turn like this, when it comes to the transmitter, this is still going to be forward. So when the helicopter is like this and you push, the helicopter goes forward. But when you turn, actually ignore that, turn, and let's say you're now facing this way, when you go forward, your helicopter is now going this way. So I am not, guys, I should get this out right away. I am not a great flyer pilot, helicopter pilot, drone pilot at all. But I love flying. I super enjoy it. So this is going to be a lot coming from somebody, guys, who is a beginner, somebody who is new to flying helicopters. And this thing, guys, I'm actually super shocked at because it has the built-in gyro. What happens is, again, I'm going to kind of say going back to, 10, 15 years ago, when you would take off in a helicopter and you got it off the ground, if you just, gave it a little bit of control this way, it would just flow. And it would just keep going. So then you would counter that and then it would keep going in this way. And it was brutal. Where this, guys, because it has the gyro, it will kind of correct. Now, it's not GPS controlled or anything like that. So when the helicopter comes up, it's not going to stay in a fixed position. But they have seemed to nailed things like the altitude. And you kind of can find that you can sort of give it, your throttle up. You'll spin the blades up, you'll throttle up. And you can almost sort of find a spot where it'll almost want to stay at that height. So whether it's, let's say a couple of meters off the ground, it'll almost stay there. They do a really, really good job of that. And again, guys, with that built-in gyro, and you'll see in this video when I use the takeoff mode. So this helicopter actually has a takeoff and landing feature right on the controller. You'll see how much the helicopter actually kind of veers off type thing, where again, guys, back in the day, if you just gave this thing throttle and took off, you just, and you crashed instantly. Like, I was horrible. I broke so many blades, rear tail rotors, other parts, landing gears. It was brutal. And with this, guys, again, running the 138, the C138, I haven't broke anything yet. I have crashed it. I've crashed it a few times. I did pop out this kind of fin right here, but I just popped it back in and it was good to go. But as for the blades, they're still good. They do include one set of spares. So you get a set of your main blades, as well as, I think it's this bag right here, your rear rotor. So you have those for spares. Now, I should go over this quickly as well. The helicopter comes ready to fly. So you obviously get the helicopter, you get the transmitter, you get the charger, and back here, you guys can't see it because it's charging right now, but I'll make sure I put it in the video before it ends. You get a battery. The only thing you've got to add is the 4 AA's. And you get somewhere, I would say, in the range of about 10 minutes of flight time off that. And then it takes maybe somewhere around, let's say 30, 35 minutes for the battery to charge up. Now guys, at the time that I'm recording this, I've already flown the helicopter probably about 10 times. I kind of was really excited when I got it. I just wanted to get the battery charged up, get it outside and start flying it. So I've got now around maybe guys 10 packs, maybe even more through the C138. And there's a few things I can tell you. One, like I've mentioned, it's very durable. I've had a few kind of going, I've had it a couple times going to the trees. I had a few landings where just when I was kind of coming in, I was coming in close to kind of the edge of my deck and it kind of did a little whoop and it went over. As well as once I was just having a lot of fun with it and I was kind of getting comfortable with it. It was like one of those days where I just kept charging up the battery and I was out like 3, 4, 5 times. And I just came in and I got a little disoriented on which way everything was going and I plucked it into the house and then down. And there, there is kind of a slight delay when you cut the throttle from the time that it cuts the actual power to the helicopter. And at one point the blade actually got caught up under here. And to be fair, guys, everything is still good. I think the only thing I've done is I did bend this little kind of nose piece right there and I just kind of popped it back in. As I've mentioned, I did break off this little fin here and it's good to go. And actually, while I have, guys, the copter up in your face, this little light does shine. And you'll see, guys, back here, there's another light. And I've got, guys, an upcoming video when I was out in the not dark, but it was like definitely getting later, where you can actually see the light kind of shining off my shed and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. But overall, guys, again, before we get out, the C138 does look great. It's very realistic looking, to the point that when I was flying it outside and my son was recording, I think it's the nighttime video he was recording, or it's darker, not really nighttime. He was saying how realistic it looked. I also, guys, there's a few kind of little cutouts here. There's one up there. There's another one down here. That's where your battery kind of clips in. And it does clip into, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it does clip into kind of like a plastic cage. I think this one here might be to help with some of the heat, to reduce some of the heat, but then at the same time, you've got so much thrust coming down that there must be a lot of air blasting through here. But either way, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you a few clips of me flying the helicopter. And once again, if you happen to be skipping through parts of this video, even though I've flown for a long time, I've never considered myself any better than a beginner. I can get these things off the ground and I can kind of fly them around. I'm just not great. And you will see many times where, probably in these clips or even in future videos, where you'll kind of see me doing stuff and then all of a sudden I just fling around like that. And that's because I'm sort of getting a bit disoriented. Fuck's sakes. I'm getting a bit disoriented and I kind of needed to get it back this way so that everything kind of corresponds with the transmitter. Because if you guys don't know, throttle up, throttle down. So that's your speed for your actual blade. So again, if you cut this right off, you'll just land the helicopter. If you go like this, your helicopter will go to the moon. This here is what turns the helicopter. There's probably a proper term. I don't know if it's yaw, but that would turn your helicopter. This makes your helicopter go forward. This one makes it go back. And this one is kind of how you sway. Maybe that's, I don't know what that is called. I used to know this stuff. I don't know it anymore. But one other quick thing, guys, before we get off the transmitter and get outside flying. Again, I've already showed you this is the takeoff and landing button. But over here, you have a speed button. Now, this is only my recommendation, but when you first fly it, you first get it off the ground, you can start off at a lower speed, because when it says speed, it's not just the actual motor, it's just how the helicopter responds to everything. But once you get it off the ground and you sort of have, a couple of minutes, using the controller, flying the helicopter, I recommend going to speed 2. The reason I'm saying that is, as this thing is flying along, you'll kind of, you'll start zooming around and stuff like that. Maybe you'll be coming back like this towards something and then you want to go forward. If you have your speed down, the response time from, let's say, going, you're going back and then all of a sudden you go forward is not instantaneous. I find that to be actually, guys, worse than flying a little bit faster. So I have right now, guys, like I said, on speed 2. Speed 3 definitely speeds up the way it moves. I find a comfort just flying it in that speed 2 zone. Even when it comes to things like drones and stuff, I've never really flown them in that first kind of beginner stage. I always fly them in the next stage. Because again, if you're kind of flinging this thing around and all of a sudden you notice, you're coming in like this and your tail is coming into, let's say, this box, you'll go to kind of hit forward, but because of the speed, it'll almost kind of keep going and then come forward. So that, guys, is just a bit of my input. But either way, let's get this thing outside and show you guys a flight. All right, guys, there you have it, the RC ERA C138. Now, this is the little battery that you saw earlier. When you want to put it in, there's a USB-C port on it. That's how you actually charge the battery. So it's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about having any kind of weird micro connector or anything like that. Most of us now all have USB-C cables and chargers kicking around. But this thing, guys, just goes in the bottom and it will click in. You got to make sure that these tabs click in, because I did have one flight where it happened. I wasn't very far off the ground, but I had taken off, and because I didn't have these things kind of clicked in, I kind of got up a little bit, and then the helicopter just came right back down, and I thought something was wrong. And then when I turned it over, I had noticed that the battery was sort of kind of sitting like that. It had started coming out. So just be sure, guys, again, that you click this thing in. But there you have it. Now, I do have, guys, a lot of videos coming with this helicopter. There's one night where, like I said, it's a little bit darker so that you can see kind of the spotlight on the front and the little LED on the rear. But probably, guys, one of the next flights too will be, I'll get this thing out into a bit of a bigger area. Again, I can kind of go anywhere if I want. I can even just go fly it in front of my house. That's a nice thing about a helicopter. And there's one thing I have not mentioned yet, which is really, really important. So I picked this up from RTR Hobby. Now, full disclosure, guys, they kind of reached out to me. We kind of talked for a little bit, and I was kind of interested in a few of the other helicopters they had, but they said this was one right now that they really wanted to get out there and that they thought I would like. They kind of said, you know what, this is something that is easy to fly. The fact that I haven't flown in a while, that this would be a good place to start. And it definitely was. But the best part is this is $100 US. And right now, guys, I do have a promo code right in the description, which gets you 20 bucks off. I think it's 20%, which means you're now getting, guys, everything that you see here, plus the charger and some other stuff, for 80 bucks US. You can get out, you can get flying, and you'll learn how to fly a helicopter. And again, guys, this does have extra speed. So once you kind of nail that second speed setting, you can go into the third and fly it around even faster and have just that much more fun with it. So either way, guys, stay tuned. Like I mentioned, lots of videos coming. And I'm hoping, guys, to build kind of a good partnership with RTR Hobby, because they have got a lot of helicopters, big ones, smaller ones, faster ones. They've even got ones with built-in GPSs. Like, it's insane. So either way, guys, shout out to RTR Hobby for sending this out to me. And again, make sure that you check the description for the coupon code to get yourself 20 bucks off this. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a big thumbs up, please subscribe, and have a great day.